fully adopted his speech group. Nas, on the other hand, he appears to be engaging in some kind of a linguistic convergence towards the standard model in New York, which is the Bobian view of attention paid to speech. And here's some of the numbers for that. You can see the number of deletion. Here's the percentages, which they deleted. And then here's an interesting graph that kind of shows style shifting. So you can see now it's kind of shifting away from the African American vernacular English, whereas our informants, other than Ghetto Thug, are taking place in African American convergence. So the findings on the glide reduction of I could only be compared to Fix's data from the 1970s, and then another data that was taken from white women in the 1970s who did American accents. So Bobo had the lowest rate, which he came very close to Puerto Ricans in the 1970s. Ivy, Ghetto Thug, and PJ, they extend the natural rate of African Americans in New York City in the 1970s. And then PJ also extends the rate found among African Americans in the 1970s, suggesting that him and Ghetto Thug are engaging in a type of hypercorrection. And so here's the numbers for that. But kind of take that with a grain of salt because this is kind of not really compared to modern things. And then you have the findings on the post-vocalic arlessness. So it shows that Eminem, he's showing variations of the arlessness where he seems to be diverging from it, which is similar to the Australian English speaker. Ivy and Eminem kind of occupy a middle ground where it surpasses the arlessness. And Ghetto Thug, Dr. Dre, and PJ, they all have like the highest rates of the arlessness, so which would be Dr. Dre, PJ, and so here's the overall rate of all of the informants that you see in the study. Here we have Bobo. He's presented right here, and you can see that his percentage rate is actually not very high. And then we have Ghetto Thug, which is right here, who doesn't take place in much copula deletion, but does take place in everything else. And we have Ivy, who's kind of the visual of the middle ground that I spoke of. And then we have PJ, who is a pretty high overall rate. He kind of stays consistent up here. And that is my presentation. I'm glad y'all took the time to listen. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.